Hello everyone. Welcome to the India Deep Tech podcast series hosted by us at TDK Ventures. I'm your guest host Anil Achyuta. I'm the managing director of TDK Ventures. Today we'll discuss our latest and exciting investment into Fasal, which is a precision farming company from Nama Bengaluru. The focus today for us is to drill down on the origins of Fasal and the key learnings in Fasal's journey. I've got Fasal's founder here, Shailendra Tiwari, with me. Thank you, Shailendra, for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you, Anil, and I'm very grateful that you literally took a flight 14 seas away to record this, and I'm thankful that TheUpStreamLife team is here, and I'm very excited for this conversation.
Perfect. Well, can you give me an elevator pitch about Fasal in a nutshell?
Certainly. So, I think we are all a bunch of George R.R. Martins. We have created our own Dothraki language. In a way, it allows for farmers to speak to their crops. That is what we do. And as a result of it, the world is a better place.
Well, wonderful. Say more.
So, we started in 2018. And it was a result of some of our own pursuits to honestly spend our weekends better. Never knew life had very different kind of plans. Got obsessed with a problem which essentially in our mind works like this. India has about 150 million hectares of farmland. We are one of the largest owners of arable land globally. But if you look at our productivity, I don't think we do any justice. So we have everything working out well for us. We have all kinds of climatic zones in this country, all kind of soil. We are 1.4 billion people, so millions of people are engaged in agriculture. But what doesn't work for us is our agriculture knowledge is delivered from one generation to another in form of wisdom. And the impact of it is, even though we should literally be the global food bowl, we don't grow enough that we can feed our own people in the manner that we should be. And what I think became very, very interesting for us was a data point that we landed in 2016-17. So in the year 2016-17, the Netherlands, they exported $1.4 billion worth of tomato. And our combined export from all fruits and vegetables was $435 million. And I think what blows this out of proportion is we have 150 million hectares. They have 1 million hectares. And the idea that drove Fasal was that either probably we are really, really bad at this, or probably they are very, very good with it. And when we delved deeper, we realized that the science in Indian agriculture was missing. And if there was a way in which you could infuse this science and the knowledge of why plants do what they do into Indian agriculture, into the farmer's mind, I think you could literally transform this country. So this country can go from 3 trillion GDP to probably 5, and I feel the fastest way is evolution of Indian agriculture. And we said, this is what we are going to make an attempt to solve. And we said, a smallholder farmer doesn't matter. Educated, not educated doesn't matter. Different soil, different climate doesn't matter. We have to build something that surpasses all of this. And we have to build it in a way that it could work for global farmers. So in 2018, we registered this company. We had some savings. And we gave ourselves about 12 months. We said if nothing works out in 12 months, we'll go back to the job. And here we are. We built that technology. We define it in a way that we have the capability of providing farm level, crop specific and crop stage specific actionable intelligence delivered to the farmers in the language that they understand and on the medium that they are available. We are now on 75,000 acres of farmland. We have developed a groundbreaking global technology, which is a mix of crop science, is a mix of machine learning, is a mix of IoT. And what it has done is, so far on every farm we have been to, we have saved anywhere between 40 to 50% of water which now totals to roughly 80 billion liters of water. We have saved 150,000 kilograms of pesticides. We have saved thousands of kilograms of fertilizers. And every farm that we have been to has spent less money to grow at least 25% more.
Wow, that is unbelievable. 80 billion liters of water.
Yes.
That is a golden nugget. Well, I want to dive deeper into that, but let's take one step back. And I want to ask you, what gave you the courage and conviction to start the company? Because when I speak with a lot of younger, bright entrepreneurs, what they tell me is, Anil, I have so many ideas. There's so many ideas out there. There's so much information out there. There's so many technologies out there. So many problems to solve. How do I choose the right one? How do I almost dive deep into this and get committed to something for the next 10 years? What gave you that conviction?
I think it has more to do with getting obsessed with a problem than courage and conviction. So I think I'll park aside courage for a moment, because when we started this company, we were in second half of our 20s. Honestly, there was nothing to lose. So the worst case scenario was you would probably go and fail. And I think in general, see, we were having this conversation, the conversation of your ability to absorb failure. I think I had personally failed so many times in life, in small or large proportions, that I genuinely do not care about failing. But I think what drove this entire pursuit was the fact that we felt if we could solve this problem, we could genuinely be in history books. So the impact that this problem could deliver was so much that there was no downside. So the downside was you will lose maybe 12 months of saving, you'll lose some time, but what you will gain in return is an ability to take a shot at something very big. I think that was the primary motivation. I was not scared. I told my father I'm going to get started on this, and I have like X months of savings, and I may ask for some money at some point in time. And he was happy to. He said, go and live your life. But I think we were so obsessed with this problem that we continued going deeper. And in general, I'm not a very big fan of ideas. I think ideas are like 10% of something, but I'm a very, very big fan of disciplined execution. In general, you could have the greatest of ideas and very regrettable execution, or you can have a very average idea and you could have phenomenal execution. So you will, on daily basis, if you're a capable human being, your cognitive system works, there will be so many things that will come to your mind. But for you to go and commit to something for 10, 15, 20 years, or rather lifelong, I think you need to get obsessed. You need to get obsessed with some part of it. So we were obsessed with the fact that we said if we can transform one farm, we can transform one family. If we can transform 10 farms, we could have potentially transformed a village. If we can transform 10 villages, we could have potentially transformed a taluka. And if you can do it for hundreds of talukas, you could potentially transform this country. And the fact that you as a meager individual have an opportunity of doing something that could impact this country, I think that was the biggest driver that still continues to be the driver in our good times, in our bad times. Conviction came when we started executing parts of it. We went to one farmer, we sort of created a very small group of 5 farmers. So we said, let us try with these 5. Let's see if something happens. 5, 6 months down the line, so a Marathi farmer said, Sahib, Kranti hona rahe. That means it is a revolution. And I remember these moments so vividly that I said, like, there is this quote, I can't seem to remember it well, but It goes something like this: find what you love and let it kill you. And I think until and unless you have this kind of obsession with a problem, you cannot commit to something for a long time. So if your commitment is not for the impact, if your commitment is not for the execution of it, if your commitment is not for the vision of the world that you see your organization as an agency of change, I think it will be hard for people to commit to anything.
True, very true. Thanks for sharing that. Maybe we talked about the obsession of the problem and the impact that it brings. Can you share the biggest mistakes that you made during your seed, maybe in the Series A, and just walk me through the journey? Because at the end of the day, in a startup, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And you learn along the way, and you get better at that execution. Maybe you stage things right. So walk me through that journey of the mistakes, because for me, this is the most important part in a startup's journey. Finding the mistakes and finding ways to correct them and overcoming those.
You know, when you say mistakes, funnily, I have like a very long list. So I'll try and
Top three.
find the top two, three.
Okay.
I think the product that we were trying to build is a mix of some frontier technologies, some things which on the face of it make a lot of sense but never tried, and severe amount of empathy for the TG that you have. So when we raised our seed round, Anil, I think we were this company has been in a very, interesting sort of journey and evolution. So the moment we raised our seed capital, there was COVID. It was good that we had capital, but it was bad that we did not have the opportunity of operating in a way that COVID wouldn't be there. And what I regret now, like this part I would like to go back and change, is even during those times we should have found a way to be in touch with our customer in a way that you are not very far off from them. So I think I had a product manager's background before building this company, and product management thrives on two things: genuinely finding a problem rather than what the noise is, and then finding a solution that works for your customer. So COVID came, we had spent a lot of time building the technology. We tried finding ways in which somebody from the team would stay in touch, like in a close proximity with the farmers. And that was in fact the first year of commercialization of the technology. The part I would go back and change is I would like to be there. So instead of being in Bangalore, being in this office, I would probably find a way to be there, protect my team, but at the same time really be around the farmer when he's using the technology, when he's praising it, when he's criticizing it, when he's deriving joy out of it, when he's deriving frustration out of it. That was one thing that I feel, if we would have done it for like 4 months of that time, we would have accelerated our roadmap in a way. Second thing that I sort of regret, and again I would like to go back and change, is for a brief moment in time after our pre-series A, I offloaded and outsourced the responsibility of building a specific team and culture for that team to somebody else. And every time when I think about it, I regret it. Because I have spent time, we together in this organization, I've spent a lot of time thinking what culture is, why it matters, how do you engage people, how do you hire mission-oriented people. So for a startup which is targeting change of the country, you need mission-oriented men and women. You cannot have people who would just come at 9 o'clock in the office and leave by 6 and assume that their job is done. It requires taking 10 steps ahead. So when I did that, I realized that part of the team looked very different than other parts of the team. And I used to question myself constantly on why this is happening, because I was under impression that we have hired 120 people. These are very good people, they are very motivated, they are doing their job well, and their influence will drive these next 20, 30 people. Did not happen. And now we have shifted back to our own previous ways. I still continue to interview every single person, whether it is the junior most role or the senior most role. We still go and do this culture conversation. We'll still reiterate our values over email very frequently. But I think these two things I regret. I would like to go back and change them in a parallel universe.
What is one question you can ask a new employee or a prospective employee on what their culture is and how mission oriented they are?
See, usually I'll go back and ask them, why are they working? And I don't like fancy answers. So your mission could be that I want my family to be well off. It serves both the organization and you. So if you want your family to be well off, you need to do well. You need to accelerate, you need to align yourself with an organization. The organization will grow and you will grow so. I don't like fancy answers in the way that somebody would say this and that and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work. You could have the basest of the reasons which could make you extraordinary. Like, look at the Maslow's hierarchy of need. No? When you are at the bottom of the hierarchy, you want to sleep well, you want to eat well. And these in itself are biological motivations. But if you are aware of something like this, I am very happy. It means it is easier for you to show the value of what this mission means to me. If I am able to relate it to the thing that you are trying to drive in life. So if there are parallels that I can talk to you saying that this is what you care, in the same intensity I care about this, and the only way we can progress together is if we merge them both. So we find one common ground where I and you are on the same page. I think that is something that is a very critical part of my questionnaire. If people give me very fancy answers, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Give me an example of a red flag.
So a red flag is, I'll give you a very interesting one. So somebody said, this to me is a way of giving back because my family belongs to a farming family. My native is a bunch of people engaged in farming. So I asked him some questions like, what do they do, which crop they do, what are their challenges, what are no answers. So sometimes having very fancy answers does not matter. Having the basis of the answer is okay. But what is critical is for you to have something that drives that intensity for you. I know what drives intensity in me, and if you may not be able to understand the vision of it, but if you have something that you feel very deeply engaged about, it's very easy to get on the same page. And that is what matters to me.
If they care about it, they would have known the answer to that.
Right, they would have, definitely.
They rehearsed it.
They did. It was a fancy like first degree questionnaire. The moment you start going to second degree, third degree, fourth degree, there are no answers.
That's a golden nugget, by the way. So let's get to Fasal, because that's an important part. What is the core value proposition of Fasal? What does the company bring to your customers? And why do your customers love you?
Certainly. So there are three things to talk about: the land, the crop, and the farmer. On the supply side of things, and then I'll talk about the demand side of things. When I say land, I talk about arable land which has the ability of giving something to the plant. When I talk about a plant, every plant that you grow has something that we call genetic potential. So genetic potential is nothing but its ability to produce certain quality or certain quantity of what it can deliver, its offsprings. And then the farmer. See, this is a fascinating country to live in right now. So in the last 10 years, the GDP has literally doubled. I remember I used to go to my maternal grandmother's house, and these scenes are so vivid. So I've seen the roads being broken. You are very far off from them because there was no cell phone, there was no electricity, and in front of my own eye in last 15 years, I mean, you can drive your car at like 80 kilometers per hour. Everybody has a cell phone, everybody's trading crypto. And it's so easy to be in awe of the development that has happened. And what it has done for our people now is it has made a country of 1.4 billion people who really have very deep aspirations. And so is the farmer. So the farmer also wants to live well. He wants to send his children to good school. He wants to grow good quality produce so that he can be proud of what he is feeding to the people. And in doing so, he also wants to make some more money. What we have built is something that helps all three of them. The challenge with the plant is that for you to get the best out of it, you have to give it the best you can. For the land to give the best to the plant, you have to give it again the best you can. And then the farmer has to get what he wants. What we built is a technology, Anil, which collects every data that understands what is happening with the plant, what is happening with the soil, and it translates in a way that the farmer actually understands what the crop is going through. Now let me help you understand. So somebody very recently said India is a country of plenty, and I agree to them. So we have plenty of land, plenty of people, plenty of everything is in plenty. The problem with that plenty is, take a farmer who has become a farmer by absorbing the wisdom that his father passed to him. Doesn't have the scientific knowledge of why a crop does what it does, how it grows, aspects of it, right? Now, as a result of it, he has an impression of what the crop needs rather than what the crop actually needs. By virtue of building this technology and deploying it on the farms, the IoT of it, the AI of it, the machine learning, the crop science, the satellite, everything put together, what it does is, it consumes this information to tell very simple things like, your crop needs water, it needs water tomorrow by 4 o'clock, and it only needs 10 liters. Vis-a-vis the farmer's understanding of it, that the crop needs water every day and it requires water every day at least in the tune of 100 liters. Or something as simple as that the fact that situations are very conducive for this particular disease to happen. The best time to take care of it is tomorrow, and you can do it at 10 times lesser cost than you would do when the disease would have happened. And it is all sent to him in very simple local language. So it could be in Kannada, it could be in Marathi, it could be in Hindi, it could be in English or whatever. It could be on an app, it could be SMS, it could be an IVR call, whatever works for the farmer. As a result of it, the farmer and the crop can talk to each other. So the crop is telling him, I am thirsty or I am sick, and the farmer is dealing with that problem. Now it allows for the soil to give the best to the plant. It allows for the plant to match its genetic potential, and it helps the farmer make what I was talking about. So you have higher yield at far lesser cost with far better quality. Now we are currently on 75,000 acres of farmland. So all of our farmers put together own this land. In totality, this is roughly $1 billion worth of produce. So $1 billion of grape, pomegranate, apple, banana combined, everything together. So we work in horticulture. It is nothing but an umbrella term for fruits, vegetables, plantation crops and spices. Now this is where it becomes more fascinating. So in this country, you will hear estimates of how many acres of farmland there is, and you will have an estimate of who potentially could be growing what. Vis-a-vis a technology or a company like Fasal, I know which of my farmer is growing which crop. What is the stage of that crop? in the way that the farmer is dealing with the crop, what will be the end output, what will be the potential quality. And I know this far in advance than the farmer even does. Now that puts us in a very, very nice spot in the way that this country doesn't have a demand and supply problem. This country has a supply consistency problem in the way that you want a specific quality of banana, you may or may not get it. But if you are working with somebody like us, you will definitely get that same quality of banana from our farms, precisely and responsibly grown, continuously. So I would go to the likes of e-commerce or modern trade or export or whatnot. And I can tell them 1 month in advance that you tell me what do you need a month in advance. And I will tell you exactly which of my farmer is going to give you that, and I'll bring it to your doorstep. And that solves problems for them because they dig well every day and then they pull out water. They go to the market every day, they find what they need. They may or may not find it, they may or may not find the quality or the quantity of it, but when they work with us, it comes directly from the farm. And we also decrease the food mile further. What that means is I take the produce from my farmer and I deliver it to them as soon as I can directly in their DC, vis-a-vis the produce going at least 4 more nodes, losing its freshness, getting more handled. I cut off all of this from a demand perspective, and in that way I give my farmers a far better market access than they would get otherwise.
So Shailendra, I love the marketplace part of Fasal, and it makes so much sense to incentivize the farmer so the farmer can actually make more profits. Can you tell us more about that and how you actually came up with that idea? And that's the most, the journey of that idea would be interesting to know.
Certainly. So you'll find one data set very common when you start digging deeper into agriculture in India, Anil. That is, especially in the horticulture segment and in the perishable segment, we lose anywhere between 30 to 40% of what we grow. I think that's terrible. It's terrible because 40% of the value that is getting created, you're spending money on it, you're doing your best to get it, and then it is getting lost somewhere in the supply chain. In a world where tens of millions of people are going hungry, it is a sin to let this happen. So our perspective was, how do you deal with this problem? And this is complex in the way that it is impacted by how you grow, how you harvest, how you transport. When we had the first cohort of farmers using the technology and growing a season with it, we started validating the impact that was getting delivered. So there was more quality, there was more quantity, yes, there was better quality, yes, and as a result of better quality, we also saw that the shelf life of these commodities or products was improving. And that was beautiful in the way that you now know that you have harvested, the shelf life, that is the point before this produce will die, is let's say 3 days. Now it is probably 5. So now it can go to somebody's plate. Second part was the fact that your farmers were growing very high grade and they were still selling in the same market for the price that they were selling before. How does it make any sense? And you know, in this country there are millions of people who are dying to eat good quality products. So then the pursuit was, how do you put this produce in the right market at the right time for the right price? And that's where the idea of marketplace came into mind. And in fact, we evolved from marketplace. We said it's not just about a marketplace, it's also about value chain. So what we did is we started doing a lot of research on, again, the trends of this country, right? So I'll continue repeating, this is a fascinating country to live right now. This is going through extraordinary changes at very rapid pace. And one of the changes is that People who are in the lower middle income groups are moving up. People who are in the middle income groups are moving up. So there is a shift from the bottom, and it is taking shape in a way that this will become an inverted pyramid in a certain way. And we did a very fascinating study. The study was, the moment any country has gone through some of these changes, consumption of two things has drastically changed. One is people start to wear good clothes. Second, they start to eat good food. So we said, and our estimate is right now India has roughly 200 to 300 million people who want to eat good quality produce. We have $1 billion worth of produce ready to cater to them. So we said this actually aligns with the vision of helping our farmers grow more, grow better, and sell better. You will incentivize the farmer, your consumer will get something high quality to eat, and in the midway you'll make enough money that you can continue propelling the stream. That's where it all came together. The marketplace has evolved in a way that we wanted to deal with the way we handle the produce, and we are innovating there as well. How are we harvesting, in what way we are packaging it, in what way we are transporting it. So we have gone a little bit ahead, and we are now managing the value chain from the point of view that we do the harvesting, we do the sorting, grading, packaging, and we are innovating on every point, every node of it. We are utilizing logistics players who have similar vision, people who want to do good in the way that they deliver it in a way that it deserves. And together this orchestra is giving the farmer that satisfaction that I am growing something which is dramatically better than I was, and the consumer is happy in the way that he is eating responsibly grown, safe, high quality produce.
What are the challenges here?
Many. So challenge number one is, this is a traditional value chain, and every player that you are going to work with is going to give you that debt too, if it makes any sense. So for you to actually operate in this, you have to be very, very clear of what is acceptable to you and what is not. Let's say you take something as minor as harvesting. The traditional way of harvesting is, you assume that the plant is ready, you can pluck the fruits off, so you'll get some labor together, they will all pluck it, they will all take it to a location, you will put it in a certain kind of package, you will take it to the APMC market and sell it off. Vis-a-vis what is acceptable to us is, we really need to know whether this produce is ready for harvest or not. Second, how are we going to harvest it? Are we going to harvest it in a way that it is handled far lesser? Or are we going to utilize the same infrastructure that exists in terms of harvesting? I think to this organization, the traditional has to imbibe the good. Then packaging. I mean, we lose produce. So it is an estimation, Anil, but we lose produce, and produce gets wasted because we don't package it right. And it could be as simple as, how many plies of paper are you going to put in your box? It is as simple. To us, it matters that the produce that the farmer has grown like a child is treated in the same way when you are going to package it. So there was a lot of work on packaging. How do we package it? And then how do we utilize that package as an instrument of helping the buyer know how it was grown and how it has been transported? So if you look at it in a straight line, every node is going to push the traditional and sometimes challenging ways of doing this, and you have to be very, very clear in your mind that you want to harvest it in a way, you want to collect money in a certain way. All of these things are challenging, and in all honesty, it's a very difficult thing to do. But in general, we as an organization believe deeply that to build very long-term value, you have to do very, very hard things.
What is your moat? Why can someone not come in and say, I will do exactly what these guys are doing? What did you do to develop that moat?
So I can talk about soft moat and I can talk about hard moats. The hard moat is definitely the technology. There's a part of the system which has something to do with IoT. Why do we need IoT? Is because the plant is a living being, it is continuously breathing, it is continuously developing, and you need continuous data to make sense out of what is happening. And when you say IoT, you have to realize the context of that IoT. So imagine some farm in Banmer, Rajasthan, where the temperature could be 52 degrees centigrade. You would potentially have period of time where the farmer isn't visiting the farm. You could have 200 mm rainfall. You could have a buffalo roaming free on that farm. So it has to go through certain kind of adversity, whether your system is ready for that adversity. Second, the target audience that we have is a great audience in the way that it is very demanding. So you can't build something for 6 months. You have to build it for very long term. And you have to keep delivering value because the farmer is a master of assessing what value he's paying for. Building IoT is one thing, building IoT for circumstances like this is another. And then the biggest challenge of it all is, can you do it at a cost that the farmer feels comfortable with? On the software side, on the intelligence side, it's a mix of hard and soft, and I'll help you understand how. So Indian agriculturists are trained in a way that you are taught to go on the farm and assess what is going on. Vis-a-vis, you are saying you are going to build a technology which is going to combine sets of data and science, and without even seeing what is happening at the farm, you go and tell what is going on, and you have the moral responsibility of getting it right because you are affecting somebody's livelihood. The fact that we were able to set up and put up a team together which felt there was merit in trying this and had the capability of executing is our soft moat. The hard moat is they actually delivered. And for doing so, they spent 5 years. 5 years of doing that same experiment, going from farm A to farm B, managing 200 farms. It's not easy. And unless you get your science right, you will never get agriculture right.
Yeah. What do you do with the disgruntled farmers?
So, I think we reason with them. So, I am of opinion that Indian farmers have not been portrayed in the way that they should be. For a very long time, this country and elements of it, I would say, saw them as a charity case, and I think that was terrible. The farmer, at least the farmers that we deal with, we feel they have 4 or 5 acres of farmland. In a way, we look at them as small businesses, and you can reason with business, right? You can reason the P&L, you can reason the cost, you can reason the revenue, you can reason why you are trying to do something, you can reason why it would fail and what would make it successful. And in fact, I'll tell you, it's not that we have not had our share of challenges. I remember in the first season, we picked up like a cohort of 50 farmers, Anil. We deployed and we were so excited with the hardware that we have got it right and this and that. And one sudden day, I woke up at 7 o'clock and all of them were not working. Not a single device out of 50. And in the preceding 2 months, the farmers had actually built some dependence on the technology. So somebody gave a call, Sahib, kuthe aaye tumi? Meaning, where are you, sir? I said, sir, Bangalore mein. Sir, ye chal nahi raha, aap isko utha aur le jao. Sir, what has happened? So he told, sir, 2 din se chal nahi raha hai. And we were all like, what to do? So people, and this is where culture comes into place. So in the face of adversity, you can all be scared and run, or in the face of adversity, you believe in why you are doing this and everybody takes that problem head on. A lot of people on this team did not sleep for many days, but we sorted that out. So there are disgruntled farmers, there will be. The fact that we assume that they are rational beings, we go and reason with them. We make it work. We apologize where we have to apologize. We take pride when we have to take pride. We take stand where we have to take stand. And I think that is how it has worked out reasonably well, I would say.
Wonderful. What's next for Fasal? 5 years. Give me a vision. And maybe also tell us what you don't have today and maybe what competencies you have to build in the company, what kind of capital you need to raise. Just give us your vision.
I'll tell you why we are working to build this organization, right? See, in 2016, one of the telecom companies did something revolutionary. What they did is, they brought down the cost of data so low that it became a springboard for a very different kind of India. I genuinely feel that the work this company is doing has the ability to transform agriculture in the same propensity. The vision honestly is that can we deploy it in at least 50% of Indian horticulture? And why? Because things that you are commonly seeing will cease to exist. For example, if you have a system like Fasal in every onion farm in this country, you won't have the price fluctuations that you see. I'll tell you why. Because production will increase, quality will increase, and the end consumer, who is in a way that, let's say, policy makers who are deciding how to make sure that there is onion on the plate, would actually know what amount of production is there. They would know well in advance when you have to stop export, rather than stopping export as a measure of solving an immediate crisis. Second is, we really want to master the art of taking the produce from the plant to the consumer and everything in between. I feel why this is critical is, if let's say we are successful in doing so, I deeply believe that this country has the potential of becoming the food bowl of the world. We did a calculation, Anil. So we said, let's take the entire 150 million hectares of it and multiply it by the kind of productivity that Fasal brings to the table, and look at it and compare it with the consumption that the world does. So the data that came out was that India has the capacity of producing enough that nobody in the world has to produce a single plot of land more. And tell me if that is not exciting.
That is incredibly exciting. So, last question. Do you think you can beat the Netherlands, the stat that you shared in the beginning?
See, in a lot of farms, you have already done that, Anil.
Wow, that is unbelievable. I did not know that.
In a lot of farms, you have already done that.
Give us an example.
You know, I remember we used to talk about tomato and chili. So Indian average farmer grows about 16 metric tons of tomato, let's say tomato on an acre. Fasal farmers grow 50 now. We have seen people growing 40, 50, 60 as well. And these are not edge cases. This doesn't happen once a season. I keep hearing this frequently. So it has happened in this way, that the farmer tried your technology and he is trying to balance his aspiration with his comfort as well, no? That I'm not going to lose this entire thing. So he arrived at, let's say, 40% comfort. So he tried your recommendations 40%. Then in the next season, he saw it really happening. So he went to 60, 70. And now he is fully dependent on it. And the moment he's fully dependent on it, he's growing by sheer science. And when you treat the plant well, when you treat the soil well, that is what Netherlands was doing, right?
That's incredible. Well, I have to stop here because this is such a positive moment and really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. And thank you for this conversation.
I'm very grateful that you are here. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation and I hope we can do it more.
Perfect. Thank you so much.